It's your girl, Tina Marie, and I am here with Miss LSG, and we want to welcome you to Conversations. This is going to be happening every Tuesday at 4 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube at some point. So welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome.
Hey, Miss LSG.
Hey, beautiful. Welcome, everybody.
Yes. So today you heard the song Joy and Pain. And so with that being said, we wanted to come from a subject of the joys of motherhood versus the pains of a barren woman. Each of us, myself and my beautiful co-host, Miss LSG, we have our own experience, we have our own story. And so we just wanted to share that with you on today, especially with, everybody just celebrating Mother's Day. We felt it was a good topic. We also know that, as Miss LSG pointed out, as we were creating this show, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so as we were thinking about some of the things that relate to mental health, she also came up with the beautiful theme, minding my mental, and I love it. Y'all know me, I just was like, yes, honey, I need to mind my mental. You want to elaborate a little bit on that subject matter, on that theme?
Yes, absolutely. Minding my mental is just huge for all of us. But typically when it is these times of the year, especially with the whole quarantine COVID-19 thing, I mean, Mother's Day, all the other holidays that have passed and are to come, and where some of us are in our mental space. And so certainly because this is the Mental Health Awareness Month, and just knowing that it's time to bring awareness, and that minding our mental is huge. And so to the point of our conversation today, I mean, minding our mental in terms of, there are times as individuals, we think we're okay. We're functioning, we're doing what we have to do and what we need to do. And so we think that we are healthy mentally and emotionally, and it's not always so. So I think it's just going to be great to elaborate and to see how that even ties in with our conversation today.
Yes, I agree. And when you brought that forward, remember the first thing I said was, oh, girl, I don't really remember a time that I had to mind my mental, but I do know that there was a time I think I went through a bout of depression. And it was when I finally realized that, shoot, I'm a barren woman. I'm never going to be a mother. And I know that has caused me some mental anguish over the years. So if I had to think of something in terms of mental health awareness, I was like, you sure right, minding my mental, that may have been my thing all along that I just was so unaware of. So thank you for bringing forth that subject matter.
Absolutely.
So we're going to dive right in. We're going to dive right in. So, you're going to be talking about the joys of motherhood. And, I've watched you in that role, even with moments with Mari and just conversations that we had, because you had me laughing so hard last week when you're like, oh girl, you know how mama's got to do, baby. You said, I'm going to go get my baby a bike. And I just, so you go ahead on and do your thing with that one.
Yes. I'll jump right in. So the joy of motherhood. I mean, first of all, let me say, I love the song that we chose, because everything is not always joyful about motherhood, but absolutely, my girls bring me so much joy. And I think significantly to my situation is that I had each one of them in different milestones of my life. Many may not know, but I became a teen mother at the tender age of 17. I conceived my first child and gave birth to her at 18. And then to my other birth children are 7 and 11 years apart. So again, these are milestones when I'm having my children. And just to talk about the different joy, and even talking about the minding my mental, when I had my first child, I'm certain that mentally I was not healthy. What happened is because a lot of the shame and a lot of the stigma and labels that were placed upon me, I was really numb in a lot of areas. And certainly was living a way different lifestyle. So as I think about my children, all girls, I got all girls, And each one of them, and you mentioned our youngest daughter, Diamaris, who's the baby, their lives are so different because of what I was in and how, you know, how mature I was when I had one child versus the other. So the joy of motherhood, each one of them are a different part of me. It's fun to see them grow because I can see myself in them. They are genuinely who they are themselves, but I can see different parts of me in them. So that's been joyous. Most certainly for me. And later on in this segment, we can talk about how, you know, motherhood can also bring forth some definite pain.
Yeah. And, you know, when I think about my life, you know, as a barren woman, I guess I didn't even know that until I actually got married. And once I got married, you know, here I found the man of my dreams. I was so excited about procreating and starting this family. But then, you know, there were issues. And so disappointment set in. And so I can relate to that shame, because it's how shameful is it when you are around so many people, especially because we are Christian people and we were starting to attend church on a regular basis. And, you know, everybody's witnessed this beautiful marriage ceremony and they see this happy couple, happy young couple, you know, and what's the first question that everybody asks? You know, if you're not feeling well, oh yeah, when you gonna have a baby? Or if you're not feeling well, oh, you're probably pregnant. And so there was so much shame with that when I would, you know, have to make excuses as to why we're not pregnant yet or why I haven't had a baby yet. So I definitely can relate in a different perspective about the shame that you may have felt with, you know, being a teen mom, you know, but I felt it on my end of the spectrum of not being able to even get pregnant. In fact, you know, I even have witnessed mothers be shameful for their daughters who are, you know, teen mothers. And, you know, here I am feeling guilty because I'm so happy for the little child, you know, that the womb works. And, you know, am I a bad person because I'm not able to, you know, have empathy for the mom who's feeling some type of way about their baby, having a baby, you know? So I get that.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely two different spectrums of the journey, but most certainly definitely experience some different things, you know. So one of the greatest joys being a young mom, I guess what I can say is I just knew what was growing inside of me would belong to me. That somebody could give me something and take something, but they didn't give me that, so they couldn't take that away. And for the longest time, you know, that brought me joy and it brought me peace in terms of just knowing that whether individuals felt that I deserved to have a child because I was too young or didn't know what to do with a baby because I was too young, I attest to the fact that I was not ready for a child. But if God allowed my womb and for me to conceive one, you know, that's part of where my purpose ties into the whole part of my pain that I went through as a teen mom, as an encourager and as an individual who just paves the way for these other young moms, because I can't say I know how you feel, but I can relate to different things that individuals have to endure when you're walking that road and that journey of shame. So I think most definitely, as you and I both have overcome these things in our lives, that we certainly serve as models and vessels to be encouraging and empowering to women who share our similar situations. There was a time that I made myself barren. You know, I was able to conceive at a very young age, right? Not even trying to. And out of that guilt and shame, you know, I tied my tubes. So being on both sides of the fence, being able to conceive a child and then taking that right away from my own self. And as we talk about the goodness of the Lord and being involved in church, I was brought up in church all my life. But there were times that when I was a teen, I didn't want to participate because of the way people looked at me. And boy, if you didn't have a right thing on, you know, why is she coming in here with that on? And it was so much judgment. But to my point is just knowing that God gave me something and then I took it away from myself. out of the regression of the guilt and shame that I felt because of what he gave me.
Yeah, you know, that's funny. You know, you and I were having this conversation the other day, and you were sharing with me. And so even when I learned of me not being able to have children, I was like, okay, what are my alternatives? What can I do? You know, can I find a surrogate? Can I, do in vitro? Like, what are some of the things that I can do? Well, you know, I started seeking out a surrogate, right? So. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe one of my friends will have a baby for me, but maybe one of my family members will have a baby for me or something, you know what I mean? And then that didn't work out. So then I said, okay, well, maybe I can do in vitro. So I went to the consultation, and I, got all the information. You know, they have to give you, like, it's a lot of stuff. So they give you these injections, and then you have to go home and rest for the weekend and see if the eggs gonna hatch. And then you might have to have 4 eggs or 4 embryos put inside of you. And then it's not guaranteed that they're gonna, they're gonna make it, or you're gonna have to have 6 in you, and maybe 4 will make it. So then you have 4 kids, and I have to deal with all of that anxiety. And so I have to say I was selfish. I was still young enough. I was still capable of doing the in vitro. Shucks, I can do in vitro now, right? At 52. But selfish, I think, yes, I want this baby. Yes, I want to be a mother one day. And but at the same time, I'm afraid, to go through with it. Okay. And then also I don't know. I don't know. I guess I just made up in my mind, Miss LSG, that if I can't do it the natural way, then I just don't want to do it unless somebody else do it for me. I kept saying, and then, when Gabrielle had her baby, I was like, oh yes, there's hope for me. I can go and just, get somebody to do it, So I've been going through that. And so now at this age, I'm like, dang, all my friends are grandmothers. I'm not even a mother. So this Mother's Day was interesting.
And it's funny that you bring us to Mother's Day, because I wanted to just say, number one, to our viewers, please feel free to place some things in the comments, because we want to know how your Mother's Day went if you are a mother. I firmly believe, for no disrespect for those who are able to actually give birth to a child, but there are so many individuals that partake in the upbringing of our children. As I sit here as a mother and a grandmother, I do have 2 grandchildren of my own. But you can't do it alone. Even going through being a young single teen mom to even being a married mom and married grandmother, because of the way our marriage is set up, there's often times when I could still feel like a single mom, because I am more hands-on with a lot of our daughter's activities and the running around and doing all those different things. Whereas my husband, he works a good amount of hours in a week. And so you take on the different roles, but I'm telling you, without the individuals, and I know that you've played a very natural and loving role to your nephew, who I know is near and dear in your life. And so just saying that we can't do it alone. So though God did not open up, or maybe at one point opened up an opportunity, and for whatever reasons, there are tons of things that happen. There are tons of things. I don't know what our viewers have gone through, but we can tell stories for days. I have individuals in my family who are unfortunately unbarren because of some things that happened when they were children, where they had no control of making any choices, but as a result of an accident that was taken away. And so, even this young lady now today, all of her sisters now have children, and she doesn't, but she plays an awesome role. And I'm sharing that story because it reminds me of the role that you play with your nephew, and making sure that you're so hands-on with him, and being able to still pour in, and being able to still help with the upbringing and the molding of our children. Because as the saying says, it takes a village. It's just because it takes one to push it out. It takes many of us to keep eyes on all of our kids, and to pray over all of our kids, and to just really be involved to make sure that, kids are being well rounded and taken care of. So as I think about that, I wanted to just point that out. And I know that does not replace the option or opportunity of being a mother to one's own child, but it's still something important that we need to point out, because God also laid it on individuals' hearts, such as yourself, to still, you keep saying the selfishness, but to still be whole in an area where, you know, you may not feel whole or felt whole in the past, but being able to play that role now is something that you'll probably never even be able to articulate how important and how what's the word I'm looking for? Pleasing, and just for your sister. Because my sister did it for me before she had a child. You know, there's no words that we can really say to ever say thank you enough for being there, to be that extra hand, that extra heart.
Yeah, and you know, I'm glad that you gave me a segue to say this here about, you know, and this is a very serious, I would never, ever make fun or make light of, you know, a woman not being able to have a child. But there are days when I'm like, oh, I'm glad I don't have any kids, you know, because all the stuff, you know, the song says it perfectly, joy and pain. You know what I'm saying? They one and the same. And so I appreciate you saying that. Yes, I do enjoy. I just get so angry sometimes, though, when I see these kids out here and these mothers who, you know, have this gift, this amazing gift from God to be a mother, and these kids are in the system, or these kids are running around with no food, no clothes, no, you know, that kind of stuff. Just, oh my gosh, it just burns me up. And then there was a part of my life where I was just so.
Take your time.
I was just so angry at God, because here I am with all this love to give, and not even able to share what I have with, you know, a child. Just, I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. This, you know, this is what conversations is. To our guests, to our viewing, while my beautiful host just collects herself, this is what our conversations will be like. Transparent. Because when we come to talk about the different topics that we will talk about, that's what it's about. It's about taking off the mask and being able to really be transparent about how many of us are feeling. Now, we're the ones on the screen, and many of you are watching us, but I'm certain that there is more than probably one or two that can attest to what you're saying, that have felt what you're feeling. So, you know, I'm happy that people are able to see us in our transformation, in this transparent role, because this is what conversations will be about. And so as you guys continue to tune in on the different things that we're going to be talking about, this is what you can expect. Raw talk, because there's enough groups and there's enough places that people go to where everybody's still trying to make it like it's strawberries and whipped cream. Baby, it ain't strawberries and whipped cream, not even in the life of, like I said earlier, a married woman. There was a vision that I had, well, after I get married, finally I got somebody to help me with my kids and and not knowing that was going to be a role that I solely had to take on in terms of being hands-on with the school activities and their extracurricular activities. And so, you know, there's support in other ways, but in no way is there a comparison between the two. And I think, just out of respect for you, Miss Tina Marie, and even our viewers who are able to relate with either one of our stories, you know, there is never any comparison. But I just think, especially as women, what we need to do is just create a space for people to really be able to be raw and to be authentic and unmasked, because many of us are dealing with guilt. We are dealing with just a lot of different things that people don't know, because we're ashamed to say something. And we shouldn't have to live in a world like that. And that's just my personal and my professional opinion, for that matter. And I think that we, as a platform here, are creating an opportunity and a space for us to have those raw conversations and just keeping it real. And as the young kids say, 100, because You know, this is life, right? And as you talked about the feelings and how that emotion just came so real, you know, it struck me and even took me back to how I dealt with the spirit of guilt and shame, because again, having had a gift and then taking it away from yourself and then wanting it back again. When my husband and I did decide to get married, we were together for years, but then decided to get married, and, you know, looking at what opportunities were, how do I undo this, and feeling embarrassed to God, right? Because now I'm going to have the audacity to get on my knees and pray and ask you to bless us with something that you gave me, but I took it away from myself. And, you know, this is why we have to create safe spaces and platforms such as this, so that other individuals can reevaluate and better articulate their choices, their decisions. Because a lot of what I did, it came from what I allowed my emotions to stem me to do because of what people were saying about me being a young teen mom. And, you know, granted, I did well, you know, as much as I could, very independent, always had my own place, you know, schooling, educated, you know, it wasn't like I didn't feel like a low life, but people made me feel and look very low.
Yes. And I thank you so much for helping me, girl. I was just had to get it together. I wasn't expecting that to come forward, but I think that this, like I said, this past Mother's Day was such a unique Mother's Day for me. It was, you know, very emotional. My sister blessed me and shared some words with me that I've never heard her say before, as it relates to the role that I play in her son's life and even in her life. And so all that emotion came forth. And then just even me sharing, you know, being real about, you know, I was angry at God because I wanted kids. I didn't like sit around and think of names or how many I'm going to have or what I'm going to name them. But after I met and married my husband, and we were so in love and we were just like the best couple, and I knew that he would be an awesome dad, you know, and here I am, I'm going to God and I'm praying. You know, I never prayed for a husband. I don't know, it must have been grandma prayed for that, but, you know, I prayed after I did get that man in my dreams. I prayed to start a family, you know.
Sure.
And he wasn't answering my prayers, but he did put it on our heart to start, you know, a nonprofit organization where we had many children that we could, you know, love on, but it just wasn't the same. And so it took a long time. So, you know, minding my mental is perfect thing, because I had to really mind my mental during that season.
Yes. And you mentioned nonprofit. So my pain became my purpose. Now, me not knowing this, but the many years later, our oldest daughter, who is now 26 years old, the nonprofit that we ended up birthing is Hope, helping our adolescents prosper. And that's just what that nonprofit does in terms of empowering, educating, and equipping other young moms to be able to navigate through the journey of life. Again, because I knew what that felt like. Now, I don't take any glory for Hope at all. my desires career-wise was, you know, I was going to do something with law. Didn't know if I was going to do like defense attorney, you know, something in that area. But then, you know, God called and I answered. So I have to definitely give him all the glory and the highest praise for the organization, and even more so for trusting me with it. I mean, you know, me, you know, why me? Why the girl that used to sit in the back with the baby that nobody thought I deserved, you know, because I was too young, and, oh, she must be fast, and, oh, she's nasty, because, you know, and I know we probably have adult viewers watching, but honey, baby, it only takes one time. One person, one time. It don't mean you're nasty. It don't mean that, you know, somebody wanted to do that. As a matter of fact, as we talk about minding our mental, when you have such young, vulnerable young ladies, as such I was, you really don't even have intimacy for the first time out of desire of a arousing from your hormones. You choose to do that, or you are coerced to do that, because you do that in exchange for what you want to continue to receive from the other person, which in my case was the attention that I felt that I lacked because I had no father in my life. And my mother was a hardworking single woman, and I take nothing away from her. But, you know, with 3 children at home, I being the middle child, there just was a lot of times where, you know, I needed affection. I needed attention. And when I became of age and I began to get that, well, then that's where, you know, things drew me to. So I think that too was a very bitter part for me as a teen mom, because people tried to place labels on me that didn't stick. I wasn't running around being promiscuous. That was not my choice. I was with one person for many years. And so made the decision to do this thing, you know, 1 time, 2 times, many times it had been up until the point of the conception. And I always joke about this with my daughters, because again, we have all girls. Baby, every child that I have, believe it or not, I conceived on birth control. I was taking the pill when I conceived my first child. My second child, I was on the depot shot, but I was getting off the shot to go back to the pill for personal reasons, because the depot shot, I was just like, this thing is, the side effects to it were just not right for me. So as I'm going through the process that my doctor is telling me, so I can revert back to the pill, which at that time is when they came out with that patch thing. If anybody remember the patch and all this crazy stuff. So I thought, well, I'll go back to this, regulate my cycle. Then I'll just get a patch, right? Slap that on and be good to go. Baby, I never made it to the patch, because I ended up conceiving, yes, my second to oldest daughter. So, you know, it's just crazy. And then my last child, I don't have enough time to really share her whole testimony. Maybe we got to do a part 2 or something. Yeah. But I could share more later. But her, it wasn't even a choice of birth control. I had my tubes tied. So Diamaris, her Amir, people hear us call her Amir because her middle name is short for a miracle, because she truly is a miracle baby. I mean, she can't just through tied tubes and everything. And some women get a little fearful when I say that to them, who tied their tubes because they don't choose to have any more children. But, you know, my baby was a blessing, and people would say, you should sue. I would sue the pants off that doctor who tied your blood. I said, baby, you don't know what I prayed for. And you don't know what I needed God to do for me, because he didn't just give me Diamaris because we asked for a child. Because if he did, he would have gave me a boy, because I wanted a boy. But I know he did that because that's a symbol for him saying, I'm still the same miracle working God now that I was back then. And even better yet, here's a token of everlasting forgiveness from me to you. I forgive you, daughter.
That's good. Yes. Yes. Oh, wow. That's good. That's good. Thank you for sharing. And I do agree. We definitely going to have to do a part 2, because that is an amazing story, baby. You had me. I was down to nothing after you shared that story with me. So yeah, so I just know that as a barren woman, I think I'm feeling the effects of it now at 52, because like I said, you know, a lot of my friends, they're grandmothers now. So now they're sharing their stories of their grandbabies. Their kids are grown. And so I'm like, dang, am I just going to be just this empty? Well, it's always been an empty nest, but I do have joy some days, you know, especially with my nephew. But this journey was something that I didn't expect. You know, I thought for sure, you know, the way me and Carl was hanging out in there like that, you know, I probably should have about 7 kids by now, you know, but, you know, I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful that, you know, if it's God's will for our marriage and for our life, that, you know, we will experience it. And if not, you know, we both have accepted it. We actually accepted it a long time ago when I decided not to go forward with the in vitro. But we have tossed up the idea of adoption. We've tossed up the idea of surrogacy. But now we're just, you know, we did have a dog for 13 years. I know you can't compare a dog to a child, but, you know, a lot of childless couples do look at their fur babies as their babies. And then even after her passing last June, I really started thinking a lot about, you know, this barren woman thing and how, you know, I need to really deal with it. So I've been definitely dealing with it. You know.
Yes. Well, as we definitely said, there's joy and there's pain on both ends, because you got the joy when you can say, hey, I don't even want to be bothered. I could take you back home.
Right.
And then we have to deal with the pain as parents. I mean, I shared earlier the ages of my children. So having a baby that's 8 and a very mature daughter that's now 26 and just going through different things, and even our younger daughters in between, the 19-year-old, the 17-year-old, and experiencing different things and different walks of life with them. You know, the first crush, the first argument with your puppy love or whatever, you know, and then seeing them kind of, my oldest daughter, I thought for a moment that, you know, she has kind of strayed away from what we knew her to be as a young lady coming up. And so, you know, there was definitely some pains in that, you know, and I don't inflict this on my child because I know there was in no way that she was like, oh, I purposely was trying to hurt my mom's. But no, she was just living her life. She did living her life like how I lived my life. But I can tell you this, baby, I can understand now a lot of what my mama was saying and talking about when she was trying to get through to me. And we out here, hey, you know, and you think we got life all figured out, and you're not thinking about those things. You're not thinking about how you lay in bed at night and not knowing where your child at. You were supposed to be home at 10 is 2. So definitely got to experience some things. And all I could say, I learned how to certainly trust God and know that, number one, they belong to him before he gave them to us. That's what I always say, Lord, these are your children.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's sometimes where parenting can bring forth pain. Another part of pain that I've experienced as a joyful mother is just being able to see when your children are going through and you want to do something to help them or save them or keep them, and you can't. You know, it's nothing you can do. And that's a feeling that I just really can't even find the adjectives to articulate how that feels. And so spiritually, being a praying mother, being woken up out of my sleep and the Spirit just saying to me, you know, take your hands off. You know, I got her. She's good. And, you know, but it's our babies. And as much as I definitely trust God and know that he's way greater and bigger than me, it's still just a sense of being in a position and watching your baby and not being able to coddle them or to, you know, again, protect them from whatever it is that they may be dealing with, because life is just full of different journeys for all of us, right? And so that certainly has been an area of a joyful mother where I definitely experienced some pain, baby.
Oh, yes, yes. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate having this conversation because I needed to, you know, let whatever barren woman is out there that, you know, feels, you know, inadequate. That's another feeling that I went through. The anger, the shame, inadequate. You know, when people look at you and they say, oh, y'all ain't got no kids, the first thing they think is, well, what's wrong with you? You know? And so that's a feeling that I don't know if I'm ever going to shake it. Because even today, somebody will say something, you know, y'all ain't got no kids. And then they look at you like you're crazy, and you try to play it off and be like, girl, no. When, you know, deep down inside, you know, you're like, no, you know. So yeah, so I just wanted to share what the pains of being a barren woman can be. So I hope that people out there don't be insensitive to women who don't have children. It's not their fault. It's just something that, you know, it's just not a gift that they have. And so, you know, be mindful of that. Even as I go about my life or whatever, I'm not the first. I love children. Don't get me wrong. I love kids with everything that's in me, but it ain't my first thought. It just ain't. I'm not a mother. You know, a child is not at the top of my mind when it comes to certain things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like when I pick up the phone and call my girl, it's not the first thing on my mind. It's not like how the kids do.
Right.
You know, that's you know, I'm calling for what I'm talking about because I don't have that situation. Right. Does it make sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it makes absolute sense.
It's not my first thought. If not, you bring your kids up, I'm gonna ask them, like, oh yeah, so you know how they great.
Right.
You can have a whole graduation happening, and I ain't even thought nothing about it. right?
Yes. Right.
Because I'm not a mother. And even like if we're at a gathering, you know, and they be like, oh, the food done. I'm finna get my little happy self up there and make Carla plate, make me a plate, baby. I ain't thought about nobody's kids, child. And so does that make me a bad human being? Like, I'm not a bad human being.
Absolutely not.
I'm not a mother. So that's not the first thing on my mind. That's what's on your mind, Miss LSG. Right?
Right. Absolutely. But that's okay. Because that's my habitat. That's my routine. So sure. Absolutely. But I do want to say this. It certainly does not make you a bad person, but I just want to say to you and all of our viewers who may even be able to relate to, you know, your side of this story, you are still more than enough. You are more than enough. You are still good enough. And that, I just want to make sure every woman receives, because all of us have been in situations where we beat ourselves up, even if you were a woman with an open wound. Maybe you didn't had a baby by somebody and you was just like, Lord Jesus. And, you know, I'm just going to keep it straight with no chaser. There are some who wish they didn't. And we just going to keep it real, right? Because this is conversation, right?
Yes, so, this is conversation. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to say, no matter what we have endured through our journey, you know, you are enough. We are enough. We are more than enough. We are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
So,
yes, we are.
You know, we have to still deal with the adjectives of life. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I want every woman to know I am still worthy and I am still more than enough.
Absolutely. And I think that when we, like you said, we beat ourselves up so badly, and, you know, it's so hard when it's just like you got everything in your life is so wonderful, and then you just got that one thing, you know what I'm saying? And it just makes you feel like, you know, and you know, it's over the years, you know, I can't tell you the number of baby showers I've been to, the number of christenings I've been to, you know, and yes, my heart is very happy for those people, you know what I'm saying? But then people wonder, are you really happy for me? You know,
right.
Just because of that situation. I'm telling you, it's just so awkward. So, but thank you for saying that, because yes, people should believe that they are enough, and don't be going around feeling some type of way because you don't have a child. Because if you got love inside of you, then there's plenty of children out here that can use it. And I have to tell myself that all the time.
Yeah.
So you guys, listen, this has been a Conversations with Miss LSG and Miss Tina Marie. And so we're going to invite you guys to some other platforms too before we close out. So I'll let Miss LSG start with that.
You are something else. So just want to definitely put out there first and foremost that I'm having some difficulty with hearing over here. So I didn't even hear the last thing that you just said. So you might have to repeat that because it was delayed to me.
Oh, you know what? It's probably because I got my little silly phone on, girl. I was trying to figure out how to get in the comments and talk to everybody. So still working through some technical difficulties. I was going to say, before we close out our segment, I want to make sure that we invite people to the other platforms that we're on.
Oh,
yeah. So I know that you have Moments with Mari, which is your baby, and then you have your Miss LSG. So I thought before we close out.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Well, first, before we even start talking about any platforms that I'm on, because we talked about some church hurt, I first want to make sure that people catch your segment that's going to be coming up on Miss Tina Marie on your YouTube channel. And I'm going to be all up in that thing. I need to have a spot on there because that's a huge conversation that I think that a lot of people would like to have publicly. Oh, they have them privately. You can believe that. But I think that's a great public conversation to be having. So I definitely just had to throw that little segue out there for your upcoming Miss Tina Marie on your YouTube, with Miss Tina Marie with the T. Let me make sure I say it correctly. But yes, I mean, you can follow me and my baby. I am at The Real Miss LSG on Instagram and Facebook. I am Miss LSG building platforms. Twitter, I am the real Miss LSG. And just really, just so that you understand and know the purpose and desire behind LSG. LSG is simply just who I am. It's just my initials. It's nothing that I came up with all extra juicy. And it's just a representation, again, like I said earlier, that we all are more than enough. And so that platform of Miss LSG is just a representation of what God can do. A walking, living testimony and example, and also just allows me to really be able to do what my personal mission is, which is to educate, empower, and equip and encourage individuals through engagement. So that's simply what those platforms are for me. And again, just being able to extend my reach. So Moments with Mari, that is my baby. And honey, she's building her own platform because Mari is just Mari. And you just have to meet Mari and get to know Mari to know who Mari is. But she's certainly building her own little platform because she's got her own personality and just has some things that she wants to do. And so I thought, well, you know, as a mother, absolutely, I'm going to help you do that. And so we'll see where that goes. But please follow, like, share. As we just go on to really expand these things. I haven't been in this side of the game long. I've been in the game a long time, but I haven't been in this side of the game long. So yes, I'm building followers and just expanding the platform because I know that, you know, God has definitely given me some assignments that I'm trying to carry out. So follow.
Yes. Follow. And thank you for putting that plug in there for Tina Marie with the T. So I also have an individual platform, and y'all know I'm the honey. I don't know if anybody goes live more than me. I wanted to go live this morning, but I was trying to work out some technical difficulties. But you can find me on Facebook as Tina Marie, and then on Instagram as Tina Marie with the T. I just changed my name to Tina Marie with the T because I want to be consistent with my YouTube, which is Tina Marie with the T, and the platform that I'm opening up now with my every Thursday live on YouTube with Tina Marie with the T. And we do have church coming up. So I really like when you said that, you know, a lot of people having that conversation, but I think my perspective is a little different because of, what I was doing in the church. So you guys, listen, this has been Conversations with Ms. LSG and Tina Marie. We're going to be back next Tuesday. And I don't know if we mapped out what we're going to be doing next Tuesday. We got a couple things that we talked about. And I think that we honed in on, I wasn't sure if it was Money May I or the Unhinged.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. We're going to let the spirit lead us because usually whatever it is that we choose to talk about in conversations is what somebody might be needing to hear or is going through at the time. So eventually they both will be on the platform. So again, just stay tuned, continue to follow and like, so that we can even get some ideas from you all. If there's something that you want to have a conversation about, drop something in the comment. Or, you know, you can always email either one of us or inbox either one of us. We'll put in the comments our information down there, but because I want to make sure that as we have a lot to share, I know that there are other people who have a lot to share. And even if you might need to be a guest on the show, you know, and be able to just really come in and expound upon your experiences. And so that's what this whole thing is about, having those conversations.
That's correct. And so as we close out, you guys, I do want to remind you that the theme for this month is minding your mental. And as Miss LSG tells me all the time, yes, we are to mind our mental, but we also have to be mindful of helping our girlfriends through situations that they're going to. You know, we all want to be like, you know, I'm over here staying out the way and minding my business, minding my mental, whatever. But let's be mindful of that this is Mental Health Awareness Month. And not to say that people are mentally ill, but we do have a way as women of being very emotional and taking on extra emotional baggage. And so maybe this is a good time for us to check in. It is the month of Mother's Day. And so let's just check in on our girls and make sure they're all right.
That's it.
We good?
We good.
All right, you guys, listen, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week, same day, same time. Bye.
See ya.